All right, history buffs, let's travel back in time to the year 1724. What was life like 300 years ago? Well, buckle up because we're diving into a world that's both familiar and utterly alien. First off, let's talk about the basics. Food. Forget about your favorite fast food joints or supermarkets. Back then, people relied heavily on what they could grow themselves or buy from local markets. The diet was pretty simple, lots of bread, porridge, and seasonal vegetables. Meat was a luxury for many, often reserved for special occasions. Now, imagine starting your day without your morning coffee. Coffee did exist, but it wasn't as widespread as it is today. Tea, however, was gaining popularity, especially in Europe. But for most folks, it was water, ale, or cider. Let's move on to housing. If you were wealthy, you might live in a grand manor or a stately home. But if you were an average Joe, you'd probably reside in a modest wooden or brick house. These homes were often cramped, with large families sharing just a few rooms. And forget about modern plumbing, chamber pots and outhouses were the norm. Education? Not so accessible. If you were lucky to be born into a wealthy family, you might receive a formal education. Otherwise, you'd learn a trade or help out on the family farm. Literacy rates were much lower, especially among women. Speaking of work, let's talk jobs. The Industrial Revolution was still a few decades away, so most people worked in agriculture. Blacksmiths, weavers, and carpenters were essential trades. And let's not forget the sailors and merchants who kept the trade routes buzzing. Social life was quite different too. No social media or TV. People relied on gatherings, markets, and festivals to stay connected. Music and storytelling were popular forms of entertainment. Imagine sitting around a fire, listening to tales of adventure and folklore. Medicine was pretty rudimentary. If you got sick, you'd rely on herbal remedies, bloodletting, or the local healer's advice. Surgery was a last resort and definitely not for the faint of heart, so there you have it. Life 300 years ago was a blend of simplicity and struggle, with people relying heavily on their communities and the land around them. It's a stark contrast to our modern conveniences, but it was a world full of resilience and resourcefulness. Thanks for joining me on this historical journey. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the past. Until next time, keep exploring history.